Let's get started. We got some great agadatas today about Kriya Shema Alamita. We got some stuff about learning Torah, about the way Hashem treats people with Yisurin, with challenges. Let's get right to it. We're on the bottom of Daled Amud. Today's Amud is Hey Amud Aleph, but we're going to start on the bottom of Daled Amud Beis. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, for two dots from the bottom, two lines from the bottom. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Av b'shakar adam Kriya Shema b'beis hakneses. Even though a person is obligated to read Kriya Shema in shul, mitzvah l'krois amitasei. As we know, one is obligated additionally to read it. To say Kriya Shema before he goes to sleep. Amar V'yaisi, my kra. What does pasuk mean when it says Rigz v'al tachato? Imru b'vchavchem al mishkavchem. First, put it on your heart before you go to sleep that Hashem is there. V'day musela. Amar Nachman, im Talmud Chacham hu ein tzarich. If he's a Talmud Chacham, he doesn't need it because he doesn't necessarily need that extra schus. So he doesn't need to say Kriya Shema Lamitasei. Amar Bai, af Talmud Chacham. The Bai says, no, even a Talmud Chacham needs to say it. So even a Talmud Chacham needs to say it. Right? Because he needs to say at least one pasuk, and he's saying even Talmud Chacham doesn't need to say the whole Kriya Shema, he still needs to say one pasuk of Rachamim, one pasuk to get Hashem's mercy before he goes to sleep. For example, what pasuk? B'yadcha kiruchi, famous song. Pedisa oisi Hashem kel emes. So at least he should say something before he goes to sleep, something for Rachamim. Weiter, Amar Rabbi Levi bar Chama. Amar Rabbi Levi bar Chama, Amar Rabbi Shimon Lakish, La'olam yargiz adam yetzer tov al yetzer hara. A person should always try to overpower his yetzer hara with his yetzer tov. Shenemar rigzu v'al techato. Don't sin. Overcome v'al techato, and don't sin. Im nitzchu, if he can do this off of sheer willpower, mutav, then great. It's a very difficult thing to do, but if you can overcome your Yetzer Hara just from willpower, that's fantastic. Imlav, if not, what's the next Eitzah? Yasik b'Torah. Learn Torah. Shneimar imru b'vavchem. That's a good way to fight the Yetzer Hara. Im nitzchu mutav, and if that works, then great. But if imlav, what if learning Torah doesn't help to get rid of the Yetzer Hara either? Yikra Kriya Shema, Shema Yisrael, say Shema Yisrael. Just blast it out. Shneimar al mashkavchem. Im nitzchu mutav, if that works, great. If imlav, what's the next Eitzah? If all else fails, what should one do? Yiskar lo yoim amisa, remember his day of death. One should think about their day of death if really can't overcome the Yetzer Hara after all these steps. Question is, why don't we just skip to the last step? Right? That one seems to be the most effective. So why don't we just skip to that one? The answer is, it can definitely inspire a person when one thinks about Yom Misa, but it's also a little depressing. We don't want to think about it if we don't have to. Go through the first steps first. Okay, Amar Levi bar Chama. Amar Reb Shimon ben Lakish, my dichsiv esna l'chas luchais even. What does the pasuk mean when it says, I gave you the luchais and the Torah, v'Torah, v'mitzvah, asher kasavti la roisim. So let's darshan this pasuk. Let's break it down. Luchais, the word luchais, what does that mean? That's elu asar zippers. That's referring to the 10 Commandments. Torah, the word Torah, zem mikra. That's referring to the rest of the Chumash, other than the 10 Commandments. Va-mitzvah zu mishnah. Mitzvah is referring to Mishnayos. Asher kasavti, the words Asher kasavti, elu nevi'im miksuvim is referring to the rest of Tanakh. Laharaisam ze Gemara. Laharaisam is referring to Gemara. Milamed. What does this teach us? Shekulam nistin l'Moshe b'Sinai. All these things were taught to Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu knew entire shas at Har Sinai. Hashem taught it to him. And in fact, Moshe Rabbeinu knew every single chiddush there was in the world at Har Sinai. Hashem taught everything to him. So he was a baki in shas and all aspects of Torah, obviously. Anyone who reads, so now we're going back to Kriya Shema, right? We're going to go back to it. We took a little detour. We're going to go back to Kriya Shema. Anyone who reads Kriya Shema before he goes to sleep, it's as if he has a double-edged sword in his hands, meaning it's protection. Nobody's going to mess with him. My mashma. What is this? What is the implication? That's we know that reading Kriya Shema gives one a double-edged sword of protection. He says a different thing that Kriya Shema does for a person. Anyone who reads Kriya Shema before he goes to sleep, mazikin b'dilin emenu. The bad things will be removed from him. The bad things won't mess with him. The bad stuff. Shneimar ubnei reshev yagbiu. Oif ve'ein oif ela Torah. Oif is referring to Torah. The word oif in this pasuk is referring to Torah. Shneimar hasef einecha boy ve'enenu ve'ein reshev el mazikin. And his reshev is referring to mazikin. Shneimar mazaroi ve'lchaim me'reshev v'ketev merubi. Therefore, we see that if one says Kriya Shema before he goes to sleep, then he will be protected from bad things. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Kol Isaac b'Torah Yisurin b'Dilin. Anyone who learns Torah, guess what? The challenges in their life, or the painful occurrences in their life, b'Dilin amen, it won't happen to him. He'll be protected from painful things. Shneimar b'nei Reshef yagbiu oif ve'ein oif ella Torah. Oif is referring to Torah, right? Shneimar hisif einecha bay ve'einenu and ve'einenu. Ve'ein Reshef ella Yisurin, and Reshef is referring to Yisurin. Shneimar mazei rav elachayme Reshef. Very interesting over here. It's saying oif is referring to Torah. What does the word oif has to do with Torah? So oif means to fly. A bird, it means to fly, la'uf. So if one does not chazer, and one does not plug into their head the Torah, it's going to fly away, right? Beautiful point. And Rabbi Yashiv says something beautiful. Chazara doesn't mean learning. Doesn't mean reviewing what you learned. Chazara means learning it again. It's fresh. Every time you chazer, it's fresh. It's a new amud that you're learning, as if you never learned it before. Beautiful, beautiful thought. Rabbi Yochanan, so we just mentioned that one who reads Kriyash, one who's Isaac b'Torah, one who learns Torah, they won't have any bad things happen to them. Rabbi Yochanan says that's pashut. We know that, right? Learning Torah is a great thing. Everyone knows that. Even the tinoikas, even the children know this thing. So what's your big chiddush? How do we know the children know this? Shneimar, the pasuk says, "Vayomer im shamayt tishmal kol Hashem elkecha vayasher beinav tasav v'azanta lemitzvayisach v'shamarta kol chukav kol machla shesamtim b'mitzrayim l'asem alecha ki ani Hashem roifecha." It's said in the pasuk. There's a straight pasuk that says that Hashem protects anyone that learns Torah. So even the children know it. So what's your big chiddush, Rabbi Yochanan? So rather, the big chiddush is Ella. What's the chiddush? Anyone who can learn and does not, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevi alav yisurin mechurin. Hashem will bring bad things upon him, and it'll make him upset. And it'll make him upset. It'll annoy him. Shenemar nalamti dumya hachashisi matav uchaavi nechar. Ve'ein tayv elo tayr. And tayv is referring to Torah. Shenemar kilek atayv nesat ilchem tayrasi al tazevu. Amar Rabbi Zeira v'temer Rabbi Chanina bar Papa above Rosh Shalai Kamidas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kamidas Basar V'Dam. Come and see that Hashem, the way Hashem acts, is not the way that a person acts. In what way? So let's see. Midas Basar V'Dam. What does a person do? How is the way a person acts? Adam, a person, moicher chayfetz l'chaver. When a person sells something to his friend, moicher etzev, the guy who sold it, the seller is upset. V'lakeach sameach, but the buyer is happy. Because the seller now had to part ways with an item that he owned before, and the buyer gets a new item in his possession. So that's the way it works. But Hashem is different. Why? Because Nasnalhem Torah Yisrael v'sameach. He gave the Torah to the Jews, and he was happy. Instead of him here, in this case, he's quote unquote the seller. Instead of him being upset because he had to part ways with something, and this was obviously very dear to him, instead he was happy. It's interesting to know Hashem didn't really part ways with it because he is. We know that it says that Hashem learns every day. Hashem learns every day. So he didn't really part ways with it, but in a certain aspect, clearly he did by giving it to the Jews. If a person sees that bad things are happening to him, he should evaluate his actions, make sure he's doing the right things. Right? So he'll search in his ways and he'll return to Hashem. Let's say he evaluates his actions and he finds that there's no problem there, nothing lacking. So then Yisla b'Bittul Torah. He should blame it on Bittul Torah. Say that the reason he's having these Yisurin is because he's not learning. Or is because he's interrupting from his learning. Let's say he does say, okay, it's Bittul Torah, and then he finds Bittul Torah is not a problem either. So he evaluated his actions, and there's no problem. And then he attributed it to Bittul Torah, but he saw Bittul Torah was not a problem either. He was learning every second he could. So then what can he attribute the Yisurin to? The Gemara says, Hashem is giving them out of love. I mean, it's a hard thing to understand. It's challenges out of love, but it's for the better in the next world to be rewarded. In the next world to be rewarded, Rashi says that the Yisurin are even greater than mitzvahs, right? So Rabbi Friend says something very beautiful. That when a person goes up to the next world, he'll have the scale of mitzvahs will be keep on weighing up, and the scale will go down and down and down. He'll be very excited because it looks like his good things are outweighing his bad things. But then the Averas come, and unfortunately, maybe they go the wrong way. And then the scale's getting a little, maybe not in our not in the favor that the person wants it to be. And then what happens? The Yisurim come, right? And the Yisurim tip it in the favor of the person. So Yisurim are even greater than mitzvahs, Rashi says. An incredible point. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Chayra, Amar Rav Huna, Kol Shakadosh Baruch Hu Chayfetz Bai, Midechai B'Yisurin. Anyone who Hashem really loves, he's going to have some challenges in his life. Shidemar Hashem Chayfetz Dachu Achuli, Yachol Afilu Like Kibla Me'ava. I might think even people that don't accept them with love. Tamad Leimar and Tasam Hashem Nafshu Ma Hashem Ladas Af Yisurin Ladas. So therefore, Yisurin are given to people that he loves, that Hashem loves. And what if he accepts it? He accepts it, right? Mascha, right? So that's a very high level, right? Not only is he getting the challenges in life, but he's accepting it out of love. He's saying, listen, this is what Hashem wants. What's his reward for that? Yera zera yarecha yamim v'loy oid. He'll have arichas yamim, and not only that, elo shetalmud miskayim b'yadai. The Talmud will be miskayim in his hand. The learning will be miskayim. Will last. Shneimar v'chev Hashem b'yadai yatzliach. Pligi bar Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi v'Rabbi Acha bar Benina. There's a machlekes between Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi and Rabbi Acha bar Benina. Chadamar, one of them say Elu Hey Misur and Shal Ava. So the machlekes is about what does it mean to have challenges, for Hashem to give someone challenges out of love. What does that mean? So the first opinion is Kol She'ein Behen Bittul Torah. It's referring to anyone that doesn't have Bittul Torah. Shneimar Ashrei Geva Shirta Esrenu Kiyom Mitorisechel Islam Denu. V'chadamar, and one says Elu Hey Misur and Shal Ava. These are the things. These is what we're referring to when we say pains out of love, right? Challenges out of love. Kol She'ein Behen Bittul Tefillah. What does this mean? It means that any person that even though, what does it mean to accept challenges out of love? It means that the first opinion is that even though he's going through these challenges, he can still learn. Very hard thing to do because it's hard to think straight. He can still learn. So, and then the second opinion is no, he doesn't, not necessarily that he can still learn, but at least he can still daven. At least he can still push through and daven. Shenemar Baruch Elokim Asher Lo Hasar Tefilasi V'Chasta Me'asi Am Lahu Bar Abba Bereida Rab Chia Bar Abba Hachi Amar Rab Chia Bar Abba Am Rabbi Yochanan Elu Yisurin Shalava. Really, both of them are considered accepting Yisurin, accepting things out of love. Shenemar Shalavain. What does the pasuk teach us by saying your Torah we should teach? From your Torah we learn HaKadosh Baruch Hu. From your Torah. It's Kavachamer from Shein Va'ayin, from a tooth and an eye. If a servant gets a tooth or an eye knocked out of him, then he's freed. He's no longer a servant on behalf of that tooth or eye. So Yisurin, so when it comes to challenges in life, Shemimarkin, Kol Gufa Shal Adam, that affect the person's entire body, Alachas Kama V'Kama, all the more so a person will be freed, meaning he'll be freed from in Olam Haba, he'll reap the benefits. Behind the Rishim ben Lakish to Amar, Rishim ben Lakish, Nemar bris b'melach, v'nemar bris b'surin. It says the word bris by salt, and it says the word bris by challenges. Nemar bris b'melach. When does it say the word bris by salt? Tichsiv loy tashvich melach bris. V'nemar bris b'yisurin. When does it say the word bris by yisurin? Tichsiv eila divrei bris. So what's the comparison? Ma bris ha'amor b'melach. Just like the word bris that's said by salt. Melach mimaske sesabasar. So the salt preserves the meat, the flesh. Af bris, also bris. Ha'amar b'yisurin, that's said by yisurin. Yisurin, mimarkin kol avanas v'shal adam. Yisurin, shake up and take away all the sins of a person. So even though they're a very difficult thing to deal with, they are nonetheless an incredible schus in the next world for a person. Okay, we'll stop there. Maybe we'll just read another thing so that we want to end off with Yisurin. Tanya B'Shem ben Yochai, Omer Shloish Matanos Tovos Nasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. 3 great gifts Hashem gave to Klal Yisrael. We'll talk about those things as Hashem next time. Okay, so we'll stop there by the 2 dots on Hey Amud Aleph.